It has been a little bit. I had a good break. I finally gave myself like a real break. Not having homework to do is really nice. And this is really going to be more of a personal episode, diving into things that helped me, how I was able to grow and move forward in my overall life in the last couple weeks. It really has been pretty wonderful. The three things we're going to be talking about are puzzles, the depth of my soul, and letting go. As always, if the podcast helps you with building up your self-care and possibly understanding yourself better and just getting more of the things you want out of life, definitely hit the follow button. We're not at 200 episodes. We were at 200 episodes, but then we weren't because I'll talk about it later in the episode. But yeah, it's going to be good. We're getting better. I'm having a grand time, and we're just going to keep learning together. So I hope that it's helpful. And with that all said, we'll just jump right into it. Puzzles are interesting. It's interesting because I have not always been super good at puzzles. I enjoy them. I think they're interesting and neat how there's all these different pieces that come together. But generally, I am not the biggest, just so good at them. Not that great at them. If like the world needed to be saved by me doing like a puzzle, I don't know. That would be a little bit iffy, I think. But anyway, it's interesting because I was going to a new congregation, new ward, because I graduated. I can't stay at BYU, Idaho, really, as a student anyway, stay in the student congregation. So came to my cousins and was going to their family home evening thing where they meet together and just get to know one another. And what we did was we played a game that made all of us see that basically what the game did was it created this puzzle, and the idea was everybody had a piece of the puzzle, and I could go more in depth, but it's not super important. The thing that I really took away from this is how it's all about the puzzle and solving the puzzle. And if you just gave away the answer to the puzzle, then there would be no puzzle at all. And it made me think about my life and how I've mostly, at least lately, treated myself like a problem and not a puzzle. And it's crazy because I just did so much more research about this after that. I was just so like lit up from this. It was really neat. So I found this quote from Quincy Jones. It says, "That's why I was maniacal about transforming the problems into puzzles, because I can solve a puzzle. A problem just stresses me out." And that just like really hit me. And it's crazy because I have just been struggling, and that's what I've seen is I've kind of seen myself as a problem. Like I'm a hindrance to people, like I'm holding them back, or just I'm just a leech. I don't know. Like I've had these like thoughts, and I think a lot of it just comes down to feeling like a hypocrite and not feeling like I was doing enough, which is so ridiculous. But in the moment, that is how I was feeling. And so, yeah, I felt like I was just holding people back or something instead of pushing them forward and helping them. And that's not good, you know? So I saw myself generally more as a problem. But lately I've really been like, no, I am a puzzle, and I'm a wonderful puzzle, and there's so much good to me, and I don't have to do anything about that. Like I came in a great puzzle box. You know, it's taken some assembly, but I've made some really good progress so I can help other people. I'm not somebody that causes problems. I'm not somebody that wreaks havoc on people's lives. I just don't do that. The thought of that kills me inside. I just cannot imagine doing that. And when I cause any kind of pain, I really just, hurts. It really hurts. So, yeah, that was the first real takeaway. I mean, it's funny because like I've made podcast episodes saying like you're not the problem, you're the solution, or you're the solution and the problem, or whatever, and all kinds of different stuff. And yet I've kind of eluded that one belief, and eluding different beliefs that have helped you in the past is not good. I honestly look back at my college last couple semesters like how in the world did I do it? Because I was operating under some beliefs that really weren't super good. At least subconsciously, I wasn't meaning to. I was always trying really hard and trying to be the best I could be for everybody and everything. But a puzzle can be solved. A problem generally leads to stress. So I would recommend like thinking about like what are you struggling with right now and doing exactly what Quincy Jones says. Like how can I make this a puzzle and not look at this as a problem. And I think one of the biggest things is you break it down into other pieces. And that's what I've really been able to do since I've been here chilling out after college, is I've breaking it down. I've been like, okay, this is what I'm going to work on this day, this is what I'm going to work on this day, and we break it down. So the problem is now a puzzle. It's easier to manage, and it's so easy. It makes so much sense. I mean, you think of like a cereal box. You don't eat a giant block of cereal. You eat tiny little cereal pieces, and it makes up a whole cereal bowl. And that is the beauty. Like, same thing when you eat ramen, which I don't really eat ramen anymore, but you always like break the block and then you throw it in there anyway. So that was the first real thought, is just that I'm not a problem. I'm a puzzle. I'm a puzzle worth solving. I'm a puzzle worth respecting. I'm a puzzle with beautiful pieces, and we just need to be patient as we put them together. I'm not a problem that's need to get tossed aside or anything like that. I'm a puzzle, and that's a beautiful thing, because we're all puzzles. We can all help one another figure each other out. The second thing was just the need to let go. I've held on to old YouTube channels and just different things. And the thought that comes to mind, I listen to a lot of my own podcast over the last couple of days, because it is myself, talking to myself. I mean, talking to other people as well, but I'm talking to like myself in the future, trying to help them out. And one of the things I said was like, stop fighting for your limitations. And I'm like, what the, like, that's crazy that I said that, because that's exactly what I've been doing for a while, is like, I try to do things, but then there's something holding me back because there's a YouTube channel I didn't finish or something like that. Or I say I'm done with it, but I actually haven't quite let go of all the feelings yet. There's still some feelings there, and that's so hard. And I'm finally getting to the point now that I'm like out of college, like, okay, I cannot make any more progress until I let this go. And so I've prayed a ton about the other YouTube channels and, the streaming on Twitch I did and whatever. And the answer has always been like, dude, let it go, let it go. And it's like, I don't know how, there's so many other things. And it was like a group thing, and but the trust in, whenever I've trusted in the Lord to let go of something or start something, it's always worked out for the best. And this has been something that he has really wanted me to let go of, was my old gaming YouTube channel, but I've kept keeping it alive through different things. But I really have been just able to let it go of all the expectations. Like, I went into my email a couple days after I graduated being here, and I just went to my emails, like all those emails that I've gotten, like all the emails that I get, all the newsletters, and I was like, okay, narrow it down to 5. I'm going to have this other email that nobody knows about, where I get my emails that, are good, but aren't like the best. I get like James Clear in my inbox, get Thomas Frank, and a couple others, and that's it. And that's period. That's done. That's done. So, because I do not want to get on my email and get like 50 new things, because when I have like a business or something, I'm already going to get a ton of emails. So I don't want to get a ton of junk mail. And I've subscribed to some people that I swear give me another list, and I'm like, bro, like, this is not cool at all. Like, can we please stop this? Like, that is email etiquette rule number 1. Like, do not subscribe me if I did not ask for it. And it's just a frustrating nightmare, because sometimes they make it hard for you to unsubscribe. And so I've adopted that to other things. I'm trying to adopt that to everything. Like, okay, so these are the newsletters I'm going to subscribe to. These are the, YouTube channels or whatever that I'm going to work on. These are the fill in the blank. That's what I've been really trying to do, just narrow it down to very few people, even with like people I follow on Twitter. Because like some people are great, but I'm like, you can't control what people say. And somebody might say a really wonderful thing one day, but then be a complete, just, I don't know, the next day. And so you're completely at their mercy with their mouth. And for me, like, I don't know, I like sometimes when it's a little more predictable, and at least with Twitter, I don't like getting on and seeing junk. And Twitter recommends enough junk as it is, so like, I haven't been getting on it much recently anyway. But yeah, there's this need to let go, especially like it being in a new part of my life. I got this super solid computer set up. Like, I'm going to upload the YouTube video literally right to YouTube right after, because I don't have to upload it. I don't have to use this silly phone to upload it to YouTube and all this ridiculousness. And it's just going to upload the audio straight to YouTube, and it's not going to be perfect, but it's something. So, it's just really, really humbling. Just when you let things go, there's so many other things that can pass through. And I'm the kind of person that I'm like, oh, no, I can make it work. I can make it work. I can fit all this stuff in. And maybe that's true if it's like all of these really wonderful best things. But if I'm trying to fit like a ton of good things, like that's probably not going to work super well if the good and the best are trying to like mesh. That just isn't good. You have to be very careful. And obviously, if you have too many best things, that's not good either. So you just have to plan it out. But as I've been just making these tiny steps of letting it go, it's exactly what's happened every single time is I feel better. I feel my soul is like having other things brought into it and all kinds of stuff that are beautiful. And it's like, wow, this is awesome. Like, why didn't I do this earlier? Well, I just didn't, for whatever reason. So yeah, there's a lot more I could say about this. Just letting go is so hard. I don't know, just letting go of expectations, letting go of just whatever. That's what I really have been trying to do, is just let myself let go and just be okay. I mean, that's what I do with this gaming YouTube channel. I think one of the biggest things I wanted to have this big giant finale and all these videos, and I kind of had to decide, like I'd finally decide today, like, okay, I don't have to do all of these, That would be killer. That'd be nice. But I'd be using that laptop for a lot of them. And I just can't do it. I'm old. I'm not that old. But like the YouTube channel has been around for almost a decade and I need to let it go. And, the podcast hasn't even been around for 3 years, So like imagine 10 years. Like that's crazy. And I wasn't doing the gaming YouTube channel the whole time. I was on my mission for 2 years and stuff. But it has been in the back of my mind since the day it was started. And that's love. But at this point, I have been holding on to it because of fear. And I'm finally giving it to God, just saying, hey, thank you for this experience. I'm finally letting this go. So that has brought a lot of joy and peace that could have come in really no other way. I mean, I can get advice about all kinds of different things. And that's what I've been getting is motivation. Like, oh, do this and that and do this and that and you'll feel better. It's like, no, dude, I have this YouTube channel I've been holding on to for a long time. And I really don't see a way out unless I've somehow figured that out and give myself peace of mind with that, some closure. And we've tried closing it up multiple times and we always get close, but then never is able to quite finish up. So yeah, letting go. It's a very important skill. Finally, the depth of Dallin's soul. It's interesting because I feel like the depths of my soul, I have been feeling like they are like not beautiful sometimes. I don't know. Just a mixed bag. I don't know. But what I've been doing is I've listened to maybe 100 of the podcast things that I do to myself each day where I just talk. And I realized like all these days when I was super happy, like super happy, like Pizza Hut, life was good. Like I got a bunch of tips and then I got a free pizza and then I got to do this. And I was like, this was Dallin's life. It was good. It was good. I was like, holy cow, dude. It's like, at the end of the Bible, like Genesis, it's like God made this and it was good. Like, I am good and I am good enough. And listening to all these recordings was really like, okay, you know what? I've been told this over and over again that I'm good enough. But finally listening to these recordings really is like hit me. I can hear the part of Dallin that's so excited for life, that is working towards his dreams, that wants everything for future Dallin, but then somehow falls short. And that's okay. I hear how hard he is trying. I hear that he is, just struggling and is like reaching out to all these people. I'm like, Dallin, take a break, my guy. Like I was like this one recording, it was just like I was going all over the place and I didn't need to. I just wanted to help people. I'm like, okay. How could this guy possibly be a bad person or something, So it's been really humbling, especially with so many of the recordings. I'm like, dude, if I just listen to that a bunch of times, I feel like I could get out of anything because it's just so pure, so powerful. Like this is like the most raw journal I have. There's like probably 900 recordings from college I have on here. And they're super priceless. And it's funny because I will do the habit of just like recording and I'll just start talking. But the habit of like listening to them hasn't really stuck in like super powerfully. But I'm like, okay, no more. We're going to like listen to all of the recordings from like each month. And there's ones I want to go back to consistently. And, it's just really important to remind yourself like of the good you've done. 'Cause sometimes when you're in the moment, I don't know why it happens to me, but I don't know, sure if it happens to you, but sometimes in the present moment, I'm like, I feel like I've never done any good in my life. Like I have, but I'm like, I feel like I'm starting from zero. Like none of that really super duper matters ish. And so like if I mess up today, then it's like I'm a bad person, period. And it's such an irrational thought. But just when you have stress and you have all these other things, it's hard to kick the irrational thoughts out, because it's like a house that's like getting moved around all day long, and you have these guys that are just kind of hanging out and they're like chilling and they're vibing, and I'm like trying to kick them out and they're just so hard to reach. But my soul is pretty deep, and I'm sure yours is pretty deep too. There's a lot of really wonderful things in my soul, and I could obviously go on a lot more about this, and I didn't want this to be super self-centered-y, but seriously, like there's a lot of good. And like I'll listen to some of those recordings and I'm like, okay, like clearly Dallin's thoughts are not him, clearly Dallin's feelings are not him either. He is what he's chosen to be. And in all of these recordings, pretty much every single one, he's like, I'm going to trust God, I'm going to keep trying, I'm going to keep learning, I love life, I'm going to keep going. And it's like, okay, that's inspiring, as opposed to maybe the couple times where I fell short and was struggling and was just rough. It was rough. But, kind of going back to the it's good thing, like it's good. It's God made it. It was good. The God made you. You were good. You are good, And so just going back to that, not trying to, silver line or black line anything with like, okay, yeah, Dallin was good, but remember it led to this. So oof, Dallin, oof. No black lining anything. It's like, this was good. Dallin was good. He was trying. He fell short. Dallin is good, and he's going to do good things. And when he doesn't do super wonderful good things, that's okay, because we all fall short, And like, that's something I heard on the recordings too. It's like, I tried so hard at this thing, and it's just like, wow, Dallin, I feel that. I feel that because that was me. We went through that thing together. So I don't know. I've really gotten to love myself a lot more over the last couple weeks. And a lot of that has just been listening to like all of these recordings, like unfathomable, honestly, just crazy. And it's like, well, it's really cool because like it literally, with some of them, I literally am brought back to that moment. It's a beautiful thing. I get to like just literally go back, and it's just really cool. And you just be like, wow, that's so cool. I get to see Dallin doing this thing. And then I'm taking back to the now. And I'm like, holy cow, Dallin is a wonderful person. It's like the Pensieve. When Harry looks in the Pensieve and he sees Hagrid, and he just has this new feeling for Hagrid that he's never had before. Like, oh, Hagrid, what the heck? Hagrid, like, what happened? What happened, Hagrid? That was like 50 years ago, but I want to know in the present moment, what happened, Hagrid? I want to help you. And so it just really pushed away a lot of the murkiness, any of the weakness, or waters of weakness or clarity, or I don't know what I'm saying. It washed away a lot of terrible stuff, like these like absolutely terrible, like, I don't know, thoughts and lines and whatever. It really just pushed a lot of those away. Like, this is the truth. This is Dallin. This is who he is. He's a good person, And so I was really able to just accept that, and just be like, sure, I've messed up on some things and haven't kept some promises of like finishing certain things, but I'm still a good person. I still deserve to have a good life, Yeah, that was a very powerful conclusion. And I feel like I've already made that conclusion many times before, but in this moment, that was what I needed, was realizing my soul is very deep and it's very good. And the farther we go, there's so much good in there, and it's all worth keeping. We don't need to chuck any of the good that Dallin's ever done. Like, if you could listen to some of these recordings, they're like, okay, wow, these are actually super good. And it's because I recorded so many before I even started this podcast, so it's like, yeah, Dallin is really good. Like, okay, yeah, no doubt at all, So that's been really wonderful. It really has been. I've been listening to a couple of those recordings each day, and still recording my own recordings of how Dallin in the moment is doing. And a lot of it just helps me see like the self-talk thing. Because like going back to this water analogy, having not good self-talk like really just brings in a bunch of just murky, yucky water. And it's hard to swim in that. It's hard to dream in that. It's hard to think in that. And I felt that, you know. I've really kind of felt that as I've gone through these recordings. There's these ones where I'm talking so well about the day and everything, and it just leads to that. And then there's the one time where I'm not talking super well, and you know, it's more likely to lead to something not so good because, you know, some reason I just wasn't happy, you know. And so I think another part of this is just not turning against yourself, but getting on your side, which I've talked about on the podcast too, and just facing the problem head on with yourself. I think it's so absolutely crucial, but it's so hard. It's easy to point the blame at yourself and be like, I'm a problem. I'm not a puzzle we're solving. Oof, ouch, ooh, ow. Anyway, yeah, we need to get out of here. This is painful stuff, but the depth of Dallin's soul has been very felt. I've felt the Lord, you know, reach really deep and help me see a lot more clearly what he sees, and I've been praying for that, and that's a wonderful thing. That means there's so much good coming from Dallin, and there has been so much good, and there will be so much good. So yeah, that's the final thought there about the depth of my soul. I would invite you to consider how deep your soul is, and just things you've learned from yourself and things you've talked to yourself about, and what that's led to where you are now, because thoughts do lead to circumstances, and how you talk to yourself does influence a lot of your relationship with yourself. And I am definitely making a lot of progress in this area, and it's really, really a wonderful thing. So that's that. Wow, we did it. So this was episode 199, which is kind of funny. So there's 2 episodes that I found that were 2 numbers. So basically, like, the episodes jumped from like 146 to 148 when I was looking back, because I was doing a deep dive on the podcast, see how it can improve, you know, and it jumped from 146 to 148 or something like that. And I'm like, oof. So I had to change all the numbers, and it goes up to 198. So this is 199, and I'm not quite sure. I'll probably just do like a looking ahead episode for episode 200, the true episode 200. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a deep dive of thoughts on my life. I know it's kind of crazy, but that's how it's been. I mean, it's been so crazy. I'm in a healing process. I had really high expectations for myself at different times in college, but I'm rebounding and learning. And at the same time, just so impressed. I'm like, okay, I had so much help to help me succeed as much as I did. Like, holy cow, even though I had these expectations I put on myself. And there was semesters, of course, where I was dynamite and everything was good, and I wasn't struggling with these things like hardly at all. But you know, towards the end, I was kind of struggling with it more. So yeah. As always, if the podcast helps you out, coming out with new episodes Monday and Thursday, going to get some more interviews on deck, going to do a lot more good stuff for you guys. And as always, I just hope it's helpful and helps you know you're not alone, that there's a lot of good in you, and there's, you know, just the best is yet to come. I really do believe that. So with that all said, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to heal today, and it'll be a better tomorrow.